Hi everybody, it's April 2nd, 2025, and this is today's update of my video journal of my recovery from watching my little brother Paul Karen, 65, with Down syndrome be locked away in his group home with no visits by the British Columbia New Democratic Party government, with David Eby as leader of the New Democratic Party in BC and Nikki Sharma as the Attorney General. So I've been posting these videos as a way of recovering from the trauma of watching Paul be locked away. They terminated our visits and locked him away when I complained to the Burnaby RCMP that they had created, the BC New Democratic Party government had created a secret, fraudulent and forged power of attorney to give Paul the COVID-19 shot. I didn't find out until a year after they did it, but as soon as I complained to the police, they terminated my visits with him, and I didn't see him for 588 days, except for 2 short visits the government allowed in September of 2023 and December of 2023. So Paul had some kind of brain incident on April 13th of 2024. He was hospitalized at Burnaby Hospital, and it took 2 days for the person the government appointed as my brother's guardian, 82-year-old nun in 4,000 kilometers away in Ontario. It took her 2 days to get to British Columbia after my brother they say it was a stroke, I don't know. He had a wound on the side of his head, so he could have been injured, but he was on a ventilator. And when it took the nun 2 days, they didn't tell me until the nun arrived. This is the worst miscarriage of justice in Canadian history, because Paul was not a criminal. He was disabled. I'm not a criminal. I'm disabled. And then after Paul died, he only lasted 10 days at Burnaby Hospital. I believe the nun told the medical staff to remove Paul's ventilator. He was struggling to recover. He appeared to me to be recovering. He sat up, he grabbed a book from my hands, turned the pages perfectly. He gave me perfect eye contact. But when the nun found out that I knew she was being investigated by the Burnaby RCMP, she told the medical staff to remove Paul's oxygen mask and to sedate him to death. He didn't need any painkillers. He had only had a stroke or a brain injury, so there was no reason to give him painkillers. And his little heart couldn't handle being sedated and having the oxygen mask removed. So one of the things that I've noticed when I try and explain to people about medical assistance in dying in Canada is that nobody really wants to know, even though 60,000 Canadians have been killed with taxpayer funds by the Canadian state since October 19th of 2015, when Justin Trudeau was elected. Canada has killed by lethal injection with extrajudicially. That's the important thing to note. Canada has killed extrajudicially 60,000 people, 20 a day. 5 out of every 100 deaths in Canada is caused by a doctor administering a lethal injection, a doctor or a nurse. So I'm not a lawyer anymore. So I'm asking you if you have questions about this process of medical assistance in dying, go and talk with a lawyer or look it up yourself. But this is my understanding of how it works. And it should never have been applied to my brother, because Canada, you don't need to be sick. You don't need to be dying. You just need to have the signatures of any 2 medical professionals, and that's a so-called doctor or nurse. Sign a piece of paper. You don't even need a notary. You don't need witnesses. Any 2 medical professionals can sign a piece of paper along with the victim, and that person can be killed. There's no reason, or there's no requirement of having a reasonably foreseeable death. So most people think, you're soft-hearted, you're a compassionate, caring Canadian. So you think this is a scenario you envision. somebody is the end stages of cancer, they're in horrific pain, and they want to hasten their death. And so they speak with a lawyer, and they have there's a judge or somebody oversees the decision, or a judge or a judicial officer oversees the decision, and they're given a lethal injection by a doctor once the judicial officer has given it the okay. No, that's not, no. What happens is a doctor and a nurse, they don't even need to know the person. So for an example is a veteran wanted to have his wheelchair ramp. A disabled veteran wanted to have a wheelchair ramp, and he was offered death by the Canadian government. But the person just needs to express a wish to die. They may be disabled, they may have some disabling illness. They have to be, at this time, mentally competent, so capable of understanding what they're asking for. They're not allowed to actively kill or give lethal injections at this time to children or to mentally ill, like insane people, or mentally handicapped people like my brother. They're not allowed to do that. But I believe they did it anyways with my brother. But the normal way that this so-called medical, like if you need any procedure, their arm is broken, it needs to be set with the cast. You sign a little form and they set your arm with a cast. Once you construe killing someone as medical assistance, then the consent required for any medical procedure would be appropriate. But it's not medical. The word medical comes from the Greek to heal or healer. You do not heal anybody, and we've known this, humanity has known this for 50,000 years, that killing people is not healing them by no stretch of the imagination. So if you're deluding yourself and you're thinking, oh, it's, there's a judge oversees it and it's some, person, some little old man on his deathbed racked with pain from cancer. No, that's not who it is being killed. Inconvenient Canadians are being killed, and they want to expand it. And so the first thing that Mark Carney is going to do, the first thing that he's going to do, and I think that Kamala Harris in the States, this was the first thing she was going to do too, is to expand this killing, extrajudicial killing of citizens by lethal injection to include incapable adults and children and babies. That's the first thing he'll do. Because when you see killing people as a solution to societal problems, it's the solution to every societal problem. Like, why build more houses? Why have more food or cheaper food? Why build more roads? Why do anything when you can kill people? And the people that are being killed are the poorest and the most vulnerable. So that's all I wanted to say for today. The election is coming up on April 28th. It's 26 days away. I hope you're going to vote for the Conservative Party of Canada. I've been campaigning, trying to campaign every day. Now, I've spoken to make things clear, I've emailed directly Pierre Poilievre, and he has emailed me back, and he said he does not intend to rescind or reverse medical assistance in dying or euthanasia in Canada, but he does not intend to expand it. But Mark Carney will expand it. The law is already on the books to kill incapable adults in 2027. So mentally ill people and mentally incapable people will be thrown into the basket of deplorables that are killed by this horrible government that we have now. So the last best chance for a reasonable response to euthanasia in Canada is by electing the Conservative government. So that's it for now. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to watch these little videos. It's really helpful to me to be able to share my feelings. Take care.